Okay, let's get started. What we do here is take some source material, could be an article, a review, maybe some research, and really dig into it.
Yeah, we pull out the key insights, the important bits, so you get the essence of it fast. We're sort of your guides through the info.
Exactly. And today, our source is a film review. It's for the movie Blitz, written by Mary Munoz, published over on Moviescramble.
Right. So our mission, if you will, is to unpack what this specific review is telling us about Steve McQueen's film. What does Munoz think works? What doesn't?
And, what makes it stand out, according to her. Or maybe why it doesn't quite hit the mark you might expect from McQueen.
The review flags something right away, a big shift in tone for him compared to his previous work, which is pretty intense stuff, usually.
Yeah, Hunger, Shame, 12 Years a Slave. Very different territory. This one's set during the London Blitz in 1940, and the review says that it tries to tackle themes like the Black British experience during that time.
So diving into this review should give you a really clear picture of one critic's perspective on how well the film handles all that.
Okay, so let's lay out the basics, according to Munoz. Director, Steve McQueen. We've established that.
And the big point she makes early on, a complete change of tone. She actually describes the feel, get this, like a cozy Sunday night BBC drama.
Wow, okay. That's quite a comparison, especially for McQueen.
Yeah.
It definitely sets an expectation.
And the setting is very specific. East End of London, 1940, right in the thick of the Blitz. The structure, she says, weaves together several wartime storylines.
And one key storyline the review really focuses on involves Saoirse Ronan's character, Rita. She makes this incredibly tough choice, deciding to evacuate her son, George. He's played by Elliott Heffernan.
But George, well, he has other ideas. He actually leaps off the evacuation train to head back home.
Right. And his journey back through this bombed-out city becomes a major thread. The review mentions him meeting both helping hands and unsavory characters. His perspective seems pretty central.
Definitely. So even with that cozy drama description, the review does point out some real strengths. The visuals, for instance.
Ah, yes. What does Munoz say about how the film looks?
She calls the production design awe-inspiring, really praises the attention to detail, says it just lovingly pours onto the screen.
So the sets, the look, the feel of the world, it's convincing.
Very much so, it seems. She gives examples like gorgeous tracking shots moving through a munitions factory, I think, and a jazz club.
Okay.
And overhead shots linger on smoking ruins, plus intense close-ups that really underline the weariness of people sheltering in the underground night after night.
Sounds visually rich. She even mentions possibly thousands of extras, suggesting real scale.
Yeah, it sounds like a film made for the big screen, visually speaking. Yeah. The sound gets a nod, too. The searing whistle of bombs is apparently really impactful, makes you flinch, she says.
That's effective sound design. What about the music?
Hans Zimmer's score. It apparently moves between sort of gentle, 40s-inspired incidental music and then the big operatic bombast of war. So, a mix.
Okay, visuals and sound get good marks. How about the acting?
Pretty high praise there, too. The review just calls the performances excellent.
Nice and simple. Any specifics?
Yes. Saoirse Ronan as Rita is described as utterly credible. And Elliott Heffernan, the young actor playing George, gets a special mention.
Oh, yeah. What about him?
Handles the role with remarkable maturity and intensity. Munoz says his delivery is spot on, both vulnerable and obstinate. That's quite something for a young actor in a lead role.
Absolutely. Now, the tone. You mentioned cozy, but the review also says it shies away from a rose-tinted approach. How does that work?
All right, it seems to show both sides. There's community spirit, the sing-songs around the piano, the lovely cup of tea in the shelters, familiar Blitz stuff.
Oh.
But it also includes the negative aspects, the opportunists and jobsworths. You know, those petty officials who stick to the rules no matter what.
Ah, okay. So not just heroism and pulling together.
Exactly. And the review points out that George, on his journey, encounters both the helpful people and these less savory types. It tries to paint a more rounded picture, it seems.
Got it. So, strong visuals, strong performances, a somewhat nuanced tone. What about the deeper ideas, the themes?
The review definitely highlights the film's attempt to engage with themes, particularly, as you mentioned, shining a light on the Black British experience during the Blitz.
How does Munoz say the film presents that?
Primarily through Rita's relationship with Marcus, who's played by C.J. Beckford. Their relationship apparently draws racist ire from the locals.
Okay, so Direct depictions of prejudice.
Yes, and their son, George, because he's mixed race, is also a target for racist remarks. The reviewer notes the film attempts to shine a light on this often overlooked aspect of the Blitz experience.
Right, so there's ambition there thematically.
Yeah.
But this is usually where the but comes in with the reviews. What are the criticisms?
Well, yeah. Despite those strengths, Munoz identifies a central issue. The big one seems to be that, overall, it all feels a bit safe.
Safe. How does that safety show up in the film, according to her?
A major area is the writing. She says it's prone to spontaneous speechifying.
Ah, the old telling, not showing problem.
Exactly. We are often told instead of shown, is the phrase she uses. It's a classic film criticism point.
Does she give an example of that?
Yeah.
Because that can be a bit abstract.
She does, yeah. A pretty specific one involving George. There's a scene she calls fantastic, where he's in a shopping arcade and recoils at the spoils of the empire. It sounds like a powerful visual moment.
Okay, showing his reaction to colonial wealth, perhaps.
Right. She describes it as dramatic and shocking. But then, almost immediately after, this powerful visual is, in her words, undercut.
Undercut how?
By dialogue. A character delivers what she calls a rather shoehorned-in lesson about Hitler wanting different races to hate each other and how the bombs don't care what color you are.
So the film explicitly states the message right after a scene that showed a related, complex idea visually.
Precisely. Her critique is that the explicit telling kind of deflates the power of the showing moment, makes it feel less impactful, maybe less nuanced.
That's a clear illustration of her point. Are there other writing or structural issues she mentions?
Yes, she points to unresolved plot points or characters appearing only to serve no purpose.
Loose threads, basically. Things that are set up but don't pay off.
Seems like it. She mentions some young boys George absconds with early on. Apparently, a massive tragedy befalls them, but then they're just gone. We never hear again from them.
That does sound unsatisfying. Any other examples? Like underused actors?
Definitely. Stephen Graham and Kathy Burke show up playing Fagin-esque gang leaders who try to exploit George. Sounds intriguing.
Yeah, great actors.
But Munoz says it ultimately doesn't go anywhere, calls it a waste of good talent. And Harris Dickinson is also in the cast, but apparently criminally underused.
So it sounds like the review suggests the film might be juggling too many elements, maybe spreading itself a bit thin narratively.
That's the impression you get. And there's one more slightly different criticism she makes about the costumes.
The costumes? What's wrong there? Not authentic.
Authentic in style, yes, but she says they seem out of place because everything looks too new, too pristine.
Like nobody's clothes look lived in. Especially during the Blitz with all the dust and rationing.
Exactly. Her specific line is great. There's not a vest with a hole in it or a sock needing darned in sight. Despite, the characters supposedly enduring nightly bombings and shortages.
That kind of detail can really break the immersion if it feels off.
It can. She mentions the only hint of rationing reality in the costumes is a brief bit where Rita and her colleagues draw seams on their legs because they can't get real stockings. A tiny detail in an otherwise too perfect wardrobe, it seems.
Okay, so we've gone through Munoz's review pretty thoroughly. The praise for the visuals, the sound, the acting.
Balanced against the criticisms of the writing feeling safe, the telling not showing, the dropped plot lines, underused actors, and even the overly pristine costumes.
So pulling this all together, what does looking closely at this specific review offer you, the listener? Why does this matter?
Well, I think it really highlights how critics evaluate that balance between historical spectacle, the big visuals, the epic feel, and genuine thematic depth, especially with sensitive history.
Yeah, it shows the challenge. You can have amazing production design, great actors, but if the story feels too safe or the messages are too bluntly stated,
it can undermine the whole thing. This review uses Blitz as an example of how trying to explicitly spell out complex themes, like racism during the war, might actually be less effective than moments that show that complexity through action or visual storytelling.
It kind of prompts you to think about your own viewing. What do you look for in a historical film? Does spectacle make up for narrative shortcomings? How important is that feeling of authenticity down to the costumes?
So just to recap Mary Munoz's final take in this Moviescramble review, she says Blitz does offer plenty to marvel at. It's a proper spectacle, best seen on a big screen.
The big caveat.
But yeah, the main criticism is it just doesn't deliver on the hard-hitting issues that it flirts with.
So potential unrealized.
That's the feeling. She concludes there's probably a great story in there, the performances could support it, but it doesn't ever find its way to the surface in a truly striking way.
Her bottom line, enjoyable watch, but not perhaps as striking as you might expect from Steve McQueen.
Mm-hmm. In that example, she uses George's reaction to the Empire's spoils, followed immediately by the dialogue about bombs not caring about race.
Right, that specific moment she critiques.
It really crystallizes a fascinating question for you to think about, not just with Blitz, but any film dealing with difficult history. What lands harder? What feels more profound?
Is it the powerful scene that shows you something complex, maybe ambiguous, and lets you grapple with it?
Or is it the moment where the film explicitly tells you the lesson, the moral takeaway? And thinking about Blitz specifically, as reviewed here, a film is visually stunning, a real spectacle. How much does that weigh in your overall experience compared to how well it handles its story or explores its themes?